Hello, everyone, and welcome to Churchy Chats with the Church Girl. I am so excited about tonight's episode. I have some wonderful panelists as usual, and we're going to get right into our juicy topics. But first, my name is Alicia Wiley. If this is your first time here, I am the owner and creator of A Church Girl, which is a clothing line and a lifestyle brand that seeks to inspire and uplift everyone we have the privilege of connecting with. So we are so glad you're here. Before we go any further, make sure you share with all your family and all your friends, and make sure you join in on our conversation tonight. I have some lovely ladies with me tonight. I have Miss Genergy. Uh, I'll let her talk about her, and I also have Pastor Monica that is with us tonight. I want you ladies to just say hello to the crowd and let us know who you are.
Hi, hello, how are you? Just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm so grateful for it. My name is Gentelle Pedescleaux. However, I go by the name of Genergy. Why? Because I teach a very high energy fitness class. I'm currently teaching at Earn That Body Fit Campus, as well as I do something with the Downtown Development District. And if you would like to follow me, you can on Instagram at __ Genergy __.
Tilly run the city.
Yes.
I'm so happy to have you here, sis.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
being on tonight.
Pleasure to be
Pa-
here.
Pastor Monica, talk to us.
Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is Monica Rains. I'm the pastor at Christiana Methodist Church in Southwest Washington, D.C. Really excited to be here talking with the other church girls. I'm a church girl,
Yeah,
turned pastor, so I'm excited to be on with y'all tonight.
absolutely. Thank you so much for being on. I appreciate it so much. All right, we're going to get right into our topics for tonight. So last week, I want to say it was a week ago today, actually, there was a settlement for the Breonna Taylor situation, and it was a $12 million settlement. And I saw a little clip of, some people discussing it, and some people felt as though the settlement meant that or would lessen the um consequences, right, for the officers. Now, I have mixed feelings about it, but what do you all think? How do you all feel about the settlement? And do you feel like it is going to take anything away from getting true justice for what happened to Breonna Taylor?
Well, can I go?
Absolutely.
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I do think it's going, and this is just my own opinion, that it is going to take away from it. I think it was kind of trying to soften that blow a bit. And to be perfectly honest with you, I felt like it was kind of slick side offensive.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
my feelings on it. Yeah.
I agree.
Go ahead, Monica.
I agree. When I saw it, I just thought of appeasement. I thought of appeasement. They're trying to appease. If you really wanted justice and you were hungry for justice, you would get justice first. And then once those officers are in chains, are in jail, then you give a check to the family. If you
Yes.
really wanted justice, you would be going after it. And they don't want justice. They want appeasement. What they're saying is we would rather give $12 million of the taxpayer money, which really is none of our own, than give justice. It's almost like when back in the day, some of my older church members tell a story of how they would pay Black students to go to school up north for college. That's how some of my members got up here. They were from North Carolina, but they didn't let Blacks in UNC Chapel Hill. They didn't let Blacks in UNC Greensboro. So they would pay for them to go out. People would rather pay money than to really do justice. They don't want to do justice. If they wanted justice, they would be after justice with all of their heart. They wouldn't have time to think about another option, which allows them to still be racist. It's wrong.
Yes, and I absolutely agree. I think part of the problem is if we're going to truly get the justice that is deserved, right? Truly what we're seeking in this situation and in this case, then I agree with Monica. The money should have come later. What should have happened first was whatever's going to happen to these police officers, if they're going to be locked up, whatever, that should have come first, in my personal opinion. I think people also feel like, especially people who disagree with the situation as a whole, I think they feel like, okay, you got your money, shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So don't throw something to me. I would really like to hear. I didn't really listen to the thoughts, which I should have, but I didn't really listen to the thoughts of the family on this. But I just think that justice should have come first. And I'm not saying they shouldn't have gotten a settlement, right? I'm not against that. I just think it sends a message that I'm not sure is the right one, and one that truly gives us what we want, which is justice in this case. So I don't know. My question to you all is, if this had happened to someone that you know, somebody in your family, how would you go about this whole process? Would you take money at all? Or would you just be truly going after, justice?
Yes, I had to. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to go ahead?
No, go ahead.
Do you all hear that background noise? Is it interfering?
No,
Not
not
anymore.
Okay, all right. So yeah, if it was someone that was my family member, I want to pick back up on what I said as it being offensive. It's like I'm gonna throw money at this situation, and a lot of times we are perceived as being in need so much that we'll opt to take the money. You know what? I'm gonna give you some money. I'm gonna give
that's
you some
the
hush
point.
money. So we have to be mindful of that. But again, if it were a family member of mine, I would probably say that it would depend on my current situation if I would take the money or not.
Okay.
However, in the event it would definitely have to be allocated to causes and people who are advocates for the same thing that happen, advocates for justice. Now, in the event I don't, then we have to still have justice regardless
Yeah,
across the board.
absolutely. Absolutely. Monica, how do you feel about that? Would you take a settlement if this had happened to someone, someone in your family?
I feel like if it was someone in my close immediate family, I feel like I'd be so angry. I wouldn't want the money. And not that I wouldn't want it, but it's so hard to know if you lost someone you dearly, dearly cared about, your sister, your wife, your husband, whoever, it's your family member. And the fact that the justice is so long going and that you don't see the outcry from the authorities
Mhm.
who have the power to swiftly, if a black man kills a white woman, swiftly, that kind of justice, that swiftly, everything they deserve. I want to see it. And some things you just can't pay for when it's your close family member. I may be so upset that I don't want it at all, or I'll say, hold it or whatever. It's hard to know how you would feel in that space, but it's worthless. I mean, $12 million is worthless to her life, but it's to them, $12 million is expendable. You're talking about a city budget, which has billions of dollars. I mean, like $12 million to them is a sneeze. They
Right.
could do that on one day. And so it's the money does not have a large value. If it came from one person, maybe. Well, when it comes from a city, what's $12 million to a city? It's
Sure.
not like blowing your nose. It's like me giving you $5 out of my wallet. That $12 million means it costs them nothing, so it means nothing.
Yeah, and I heard someone say, a news commentator. She was like, "Well, I know some people feel like, what will happen in the actual criminal trial, will be affected by this, but it won't because they're separate." And I was like, "Okay, come on, now we're not going to pretend that this is going to be kept completely and totally separate, but as the people, right? As we have all, I'm sure, shared our thoughts and, been on the side of justice for Breonna, how do we continue? What does that look like? Asking for, demanding justice for Breonna Taylor now that there's been a settlement. What does that look like?
Well, we still have to remain active throughout
Mm-hmm.
it all. We cannot allow that to, like I said before, soften the blow, and we cannot allow that to just be the band-aid or the buffer. We have to continue to say her name, pretty
Mhm.
much.
Yeah.
And our lives are not mattered. This is the thing. If I don't know how mixed that jury is going to be, but the
Mm.
reality of it is because in general, Black lives aren't mattered. Even sometimes racism is internalized where we
Yeah.
as Black people don't, and that's not our fault. I'm just saying it is what it is.
Sure.
We ourselves sometimes don't value each other. Because there's such a devaluation of, if that's a word, Black lives. Black lives are devalued. When
Yeah.
those 12 jury members have to decide if they're guilty, they're going to know, well, these Black folks have already got $12 million. We ain't giving them nothing else.
Exactly.
Come on. Come on. You just want a Black person. Like, our lives are not valued. And the jurors knowing that they probably don't think we deserve that. You know, they should be happy they got $12 million. I don't have $12 million. Affirmative action. They always, here we go. Every argument in the book, and the reality of it is, those jurors are going to know that $12 million has already, and I hope the defense says this is an admission of guilt. I hope the defense uses it as saying, but we already know that it's unfortunate, but even to a lot of well-meaning white people, and I have a multicultural congregation.
Sure.
Even to a lot of well-meaning people that are church people and may even wear, it is still a bias. It's still hard if even Black people, we can't even value one another. To say, oh, that Black family, they already got $12 million. They don't deserve nothing. You know, us good white people paid those taxes. Who was it that said Black people don't even pay federal taxes? That's a lie. You know, but there's these ideas about Black people and taxpayers' money. Oh, the good white people of this city have already paid you. You know how certain people feel about taxes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of systemic racism that is going to affect this case. And because they've got $12 million, there are people who are going to say they've already received more than they deserved. Because how much is a Black life worth? That's a whole nother conversation.
Yes,
and it is going to affect. To say that it's not going to affect is not true. We're already not valued, and it may affect the justice that already has been too slow for a system that has millions of dollars and all these people on the payroll doing nothing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think to both of your points, all we can do on this side of it is continue to fight, continue to say her name, continue to demand justice. How this will go, I don't feel that good about it though, right? I don't feel that we will truly get what we're looking for at the outcome of this case, because we've seen this over and over and over without settlements, right? When cases didn't involve a settlement and the officer was still found not guilty and got a little slap on the wrist and was able to go back to work after a couple of weeks, you know? So this, I had really mixed emotions about it. And I'm hoping that as a community, we can keep our voices being heard, not just about Breonna, but about all the Black lives who have been, you know, rightfully taken from us, you know. So this is such a multi-layered conversation. It could go on and on, but ladies, I appreciate your input on this. We're going to take a quick commercial break and then we're going to go to our next topic. Stay tuned.
Bowtie Brown Productions presents Listen to My Thoughts with J. Damian Brown on Facebook every Tuesday at 9:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. Listen to My Thoughts, a Bowtie Brown production.
So we are back with our second topic for the evening. So this came from, my question is, and I'm going to give you all a little backstory on it, but if you are, we can all kind of relate to this. If you are African-American, if you're a Black person and you're in entertainment, you're a content creator, you're creative, you're an influencer, you're a pastor, whatever your platform looks like, is it our responsibility to express the Black struggle? And here's why I'm asking this, because I watched a show called Woke over last week, and it was about a young man who is a cartoonist who it was called Toast and Butter or something like that. It was called Toast and Butter. And he met this young lady, and this young lady was like, you know, I respect what you're doing. And, you know, I respect, you know, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, you're so woke. And he was like, I'm not really trying to be this woke person. I just want to keep everything light. I just want to keep everything, you know, I don't want to have to carry that struggle in my art and in what I do. And then he had a situation with the police where he was woke, you know, so he had a situation where he was not gunned down, but he was accosted by the police. And after that, of course, he was woke, right? So that changed his energy, that changed his mind, that changed everything. Do we have, and when I say use our platforms, I mean, does everything that we do have to basically be laced with the Black struggle? What are y'all's thoughts on that?
That's good. That's good. I think my quick answer is no. And the reason behind that is we have to be authentic to who we are, and everybody struggles in different ways. Like you need a large amount to be able to understand the struggle of any person that's not yourself. You need intelligence, you need compassion, you need empathy. There are some of us who we've seen so many slave movies. After 12 years of slave, after Django, I said, I can't watch no more slave movies. It don't mean I don't want to be Black. It's I can't handle, but so much. There's some people that when they see us came out, there were people saying, I can't watch it all right now. It's too much. We live with the reality of what it is to be Black every day. And so if today I need to be light and playful because that's what's good for my energy, for my spirit, yes, Lord, that's what I'm going to do. But I think as a Black person, the struggle is going to come out regardless if you're trying to show it or not. But I think we as Black people, for so long, others have oppressed us, and we have to be careful not to internalize that oppression, even though we know it does happen. But let's use our intelligence. Let's use our social intelligence. Let's understand that certain people have different levels of privilege. A lot of people, and I'm saying this to people at my church, who I see on CNN, who I see these people got PhDs. They're running a racial thing at a university. They wrote a couple of books. But where's the guy in the hood? Where is his commentary on CNN? Where is his voice? His voice is just as valued. There are certain people that have privilege, so they become the voice of the Black community. And there are other people that aren't as, their voice still matters, but they are not given that platform, that place. And so we have to understand there are certain people that because of their privilege, they can talk about the Black struggle all day. They've researched it, they've done, but somebody else that can't do that, maybe a person with not as much privilege, look, I can't handle all that right now. And we have to have enough compassion and give each other, like they're saying now, let Black men cry, let Black women cry, let us be able to be vulnerable. Why can't Black women be vulnerable sometimes? We're not given space to be vulnerable, to heal, to have self-care. We have to understand that every day I can't exclaim Black Lives Matter, not every day. I can talk about it. I can deal with it. But some days I'm going to watch Desperate Housewives. Some days I'm relaxing. Some days I'm not taking James Cone on my vacation. He's a Black theologian, if you don't know him. On my vacation, I may be reading a book about the beach with my beach hat on, right? Having a grown-up soda. If I'm on vacation, there are certain times where I have to take a break from the struggle. I can't always do that. And so we have to be mindful and empathetic that every day to sit here and cry Black Lives Matter, be authentic to who Christ, I'm a Christian, called us to be. Yes, I'm an advocate for justice. Christ calls me to be that. But I also have to do self-care. I have to take a Sabbath. Even Jesus left the crowd sometimes and went to pray. Yes. He went on the other side of the lake. And the Bible says many times Jesus went on the other side of the lake. I can't deal with it right now. So self-care, and let's understand there is different levels of privilege. And if you're a privileged Black person that can talk about it 24/7, God has given you intellect. God has given you a heart to be able to deal with that. But some of us have to take it light and playful sometimes. And sometimes I do too.
Yeah, agree. You feel about it?
Well, I feel like it's our responsibility. I do. I'm not saying it should be just engraved in your head. It should be reflected repeatedly, but I do feel that it is our social responsibility to bring some type of awareness and use our platforms for it. That's how I feel.
And I agree with you both. I think what happens, as Pastor Monica kind of alluded to, I think what kind of ends up happening, unfortunately, is we are judged by other African Americans when we don't talk about it enough, when we don't seem to be woke enough, when we don't seem to be, about the cause enough. And I feel like we have a responsibility to use our platforms, but I don't think that everybody has to. I believe that everybody has a different ministry, like even with churches, right? Some churches are, into evangelism. Some are into community outreach. Some are into, different churches have their purposes. Some really reach our youth very well. And, so, it's just a lot of different areas that churches serve. And while I believe that your platform and your pulpit should both speak to the struggles that we experience, I also think that if it's not your thing like that, and I hope that it's coming across right. If it's not your thing to be, that person, then I think we can find the way that we can make the most impact in having our voices be heard. But I think it can be tough, very tough for other African Americans, because I'll tell y'all, when it was the Blackout Tuesday, the show airs on Tuesday, and I did not find out about it until like Monday night. And I'm the type of person, I'm like, if I have something planned and I haven't given enough notice, I really, try to be consistent. So I reached out to the guests that were going to be on the show, and most of them were like, I would go Black, but I understand if you don't, we can go forward with it. But I felt like I had to. Right. I felt like I did not have a choice, because I felt like people would feel like, why aren't you acknowledging this day? Why aren't you taking part in this day? And then when I looked at it and saw what it was really meant to be, which it started as, was something in the record business. Right. But not that I was against it. I'm just saying I felt obligated, because I'm an African American. I felt obligated to cancel the show that night and air it the next night, because I felt the pressure, and people were gonna be like, "What you doing? Like, why you not Black?" So I think sometimes the pressure is there, and sometimes we're not always that kind to one another. As far as African Americans, we don't give each other mercy, right? We don't give each other understanding. But what are some ways that you ladies have used your platforms for social justice, but also, like Pastor Monica said, as a way to lighten the mood? Like, what are some balances that we can find as creatives, as pastors, as spiritual leaders? What is a good balance for that? And what are some ways that you all have used to do both?
Well, some ways that I have used it in my, on my platform is through the music. Through music that I use in my classroom setting, just to ease it in there, to be able to bring some type of awareness to it. And I feel like there are creative ways that we can do it. Like I said, we don't have to just be so in your face with it and rah rah. But I do definitely use it through my music. There was I can pull from a experience when it happened with Kobe. Will Wayne has a song about Kobe, and I use that song to be able to pay homage in that way. But as far as our struggle, of course, we might do like a get in formation and have this really Black Power vibe to us going on, and you will be surprised how that actually looks and how it actually helps.
Yeah. Pastor Monica, what are some ways that you have used your platform for both things?
Yeah. So when it comes to justice, I mean, that's a part of, who I am as a Black woman. So of course, last February for Black History Month, we did When They See Us. And so I preached on it on Sunday, and then we showed it in Bible study. And I do have a multicultural congregation. So I had people ask me like, Pastor, are you sure this is not just Hollywood? And I said, you know what? I'm so glad you came to this church full of a diverse, multicultural. Some of the people have never been in a multicultural church. This is my opportunity to have one-on-ones and talk to people about. I mean, people have to come to repentance. That's how you get rid of racism. They got to repent. They got to turn. They need Jesus. And so, I use my all the time. I in my teaching and preaching, it's going to come up about racial justice. Also, on my Instagram profile, which I'm friends with my church members on my Instagram, you see pictures of me jogging. I like to jog down. We're in DC. I'm about a mile from the Capitol building. I jog down there to see me hanging out, or maybe hanging out with some friends. I like to go to New York for my birthday. I'll take some pictures. Like, I like to have a good time. I like to have a good meal. I love to go on long walks. I mean, I try to show myself as a whole person who's living a life and trying to figure out life like everyone else. And so I try to keep it real with my members. I keep it real with them, and I try to keep it real online. Like every day is not a perfect day. And I'm still growing into that, into being able to show the heart. There are times I think of like, I do get on Facebook and Instagram when it's good. It's my birthday. I got a new outfit, like, but do I really get on there when it's really hard, when it's the hardest? Nah, I don't. But I would love to grow to that. Like, I read a greeting card that said, it said, I hope your life is as amazing as it looks on social media. I said, that is so real.
Yes.
Yeah, so those are some ways that I share in sermon series on social media. I show people who I am. Try to.
Yeah. Showing both sides is important because you can look at certain, Instagrams or Facebook or their platforms, and you can almost feel intimidated and start to feel like what I'm doing is not enough because everything they have is so centered on there. And then it makes you look inward, but it also begs the question, like I said earlier, if that's not really my lane, should I be operating in that? I believe like Pastor Monica said, there are people who, and I'm coming back to you, Jen, there are people who are built for this, right? And can do it all day, every day, and can do that and be that. But most of us integrate it into our lives the very best that we can, making sure that we make those around us aware while also not being overwhelmed, because it can get super heavy, right? When everything was going on with George Floyd and Aubrey, and then we had like that started to just get so heavy, and I couldn't even talk about it without like tearing up. And I was like, I can't right now. Like I'm trying to process everything in my head, and that's where I was. I was in that space for a while because COVID was going on, and next thing you know, all you see is this social injustice. And it's like, I was talking to my sister, and I was saying that, the whole mask thing, and I saw a lot of people without mask on them. Most of them were Caucasian, but I saw some Black people without a mask on. And most people are like, what's wrong with our people? Y'all need to, and I had to take a moment and think, okay, you were raised in an upper middle class family. You've never really had any issues besides getting pulled over by the police for a speeding ticket or something like that. You've never had true run-ins or issues. So for a moment, think about these people who are thinking, you want me to wear a mask, but I can walk outside my house and get hit. And the police kill me. What am I wearing a mask for? To protect me from I'm trying to, what, a mask for a disease? What, I have bigger things to worry about. I have bigger fish to fry. So I try to put myself in other people's thoughts and lives and think about how they must feel about everything that's going on at one time that are not me, that didn't necessarily have my experience.
That's really good.
That's real. And we have to do that as Black people. There's this whole thing of like the Black church, the Black experience. It is no. We are a multicultural people. We're different. Every Black experience is different. Maybe you can put us in 5 categories. We're all different. And we have to understand that I don't know everything that it means to be Black. Like, I'm in Southwest DC, but when I first got here, and I've only been in this church for 3 years, what did I do? Walk the community and get to know the people. I'm not trying to speak up. Yeah, but you at the church, you're a Black. Yeah, but that don't mean nothing. I'm not from the city. I'm from North Carolina. We ain't got no roundabouts and speed cameras. Like that's not what I know. You have to accept the fact just because we Black doesn't mean we know everything about it. Our experience is worth more than that. We've got to value ourselves as more than that. There's more than one way.
Absolutely. Jen, you want to add anything to that?
No, basically, I'm in total agreement with that. You both brought up some very valid points, though. I don't want to kind of, if we could go back when you were saying you show yourself on social media, and I'm glad you said that. You have no idea how much you have helped me in that area just by you saying that. Like, I'm grateful for it because a lot of times I still find myself trying to find that balance, right? Without being, judged or ridiculed, or just can I be this woman that can wear multiple hats?
Yeah. And Christians, I think, just to take this a step further, as Christians, and this is kind of going into our next topic a little bit, but as Christians, what are we allowed to say and do? What are we allowed to show of ourselves? And I don't have a personal Instagram page. My page is a church girl, and I have been thinking about getting a personal page, but honestly, I really don't know what value that would have right now. I don't know what I would share. I'm very private as it relates to my, to my life, but I think we always run that risk of how is somebody going to perceive this? How is somebody going to feel if there is a curse word in a song that I play, or if I have on a bathing suit, or if, and last week we talked about a married couple, Candace Cameron Bure. She had a picture with her husband on Instagram, and he was touching her boob. He wasn't even like cupping it. He just had his hand lying there, and people were all in this uproar. So it's a constant fight and a constant battle of the balance. And like people are looking at you, and people won't respond. They won't like nothing you have. They won't respond to nothing you have until you post something crazy or post something just a little risky. And then people, and you like, I didn't even think y'all were paying attention to me. Right. But all of a sudden, people coming out the woodwork. So it's a constant struggle with balance, I think, as it relates to being a Christian, as it relates to being an African American, as it relates to being a woman. It's just so many things that we have to balance, and kind of deal with. But yeah.
And all judgments are not fair either. Like, it's not fair. Like, Candace Cameron is not a pastor. Like, there's certain things that because of your job, like a politician, like Kamala Harris can't have her husband touching her, but you just can't. Like, you can't do that. Like, if you're a pastor, you can't do that. Like, okay, we're married. Like, it's nothing wrong. Yeah, but you can't do that. But Candace, she's an actress. Like, why are you tripping? Like, it's some things that the judgments are not fair. And just because you put on social media and everybody's 1,000 people say they don't like it, still doesn't mean that it's wrong. They're tripping over this man she's been with for 20 some years. Her son just got engaged. So if they want to complain, let them complain. Like, it's not going to change anything. Doesn't mean God doesn't love her or approve of what she's doing. So that's the other part. People's judgments are not all gonna make sense. There are some social media pages out here, like people trying to raise money for the people that killed George Floyd. There was a group called Christians Against the Little Mermaid. Oh yeah, honey. Yeah, like 5 million. Yeah, when that Little Mermaid thing, that's a whole nother topic. We'll talk about that another day. But there's a whole nother situation where they had announced the Black Mermaid. Yes, and so the people created a whole thing with millions of people and they're against it. Christians against the Little Mermaid. What the heck is this? I mean, people's judgments are not always going to make sense, even if it's a lot.
And I think we often put ourselves in the wrong fights, right? Mm-hmm. Like, why? I need an explanation for why anybody would think this is a good use of time, right? Or good use of energy. And it's easy though. See that internet, the social media is the easiest way to get in a fight that one you don't belong in, and one that's a waste of time, right? You can just be I find myself sometimes just scrolling and I'll see something a little bit controversial. I might not even watch the video or read the article. I'll just go straight to the comments. And I'm on there like, are y'all serious? Now, I'm not one to comment, but my feelings do get a little bit invested and involved. And I'm like, this is stupid. Why are you investing your time in this, right? It's easy to get caught in those types of situations, right? But that's a very good point. All judgments aren't fair. Most aren't fair.
I'm so glad you put that out there, Pastor, because I had a personal situation. And I'm like, if I can be transparent, please. I'm gonna be transparent. So, this is during a time where I was like, you know how we just have that tunnel vision. We're going headstrong, right? This is me. I'm very candid about my relationship with God, but yet at the same time, I used to do a class that was called Sexercise, but it was sexy exercise, right? Okay, so I got a little backlash about it, like, well, you shouldn't be calling a class exercise, or this is something that you shouldn't do based on the music that you play and different things of that nature. And I actually stopped doing the class because of that. But yet at the same time, it was like, why did I allow other people's judgment to affect me? And I never forget someone went on my Instagram, it's no longer on there, but someone went on my Instagram and posted about it, like, why are you doing these exercise classes? And what I did was I had my tithe envelope and my tithes in my hand, and I was like, I exercised to pay my tithes. So
And what, somebody was tripping off of that?
right, like, they really, really were. But and on the flip side of that, spoke with
They need some
someone.
exercise.
Right, thank you. And like I'm about to say, on the flip side of that, spoke with someone who was like, you have no idea how you can even use this as a platform to be able to save marriages, because a lot of people have issues in their
Listen,
So
Absolutely.
you got single people with better sex lives than the married people. Now that's the devil.
Okay. And that's
They need some exercise.
Right. So I went through this little deep depression about it. Really, really, I was in a dark place about it, because what happened was God did not tell me to stop.
Mm-hmm.
I allowed another person's judgment or people's judgment to have me to stop. And it took me to a very dark place where I, had started experiencing depression, because I was no longer doing what it was that I feel like I'm created to do.
Yeah. And that's the thing, Jen. I think most people forget that what we get caught up in words and names and what it looks like to us, but there are women out there who have not felt attractive, forget sexy, who have not felt attractive ever in their lives, maybe, or haven't felt attractive in years, right? So something like that could be the thing that reaches somebody who has been in a dark place because of their body image, or because, like Pastor Monica said, both of you all said about marriages and, certain things like that. So I think when it comes to the things that we do that may seem a little risky and people, are against, I mean, usually when people are against it, that's what you're supposed to be doing, right? Like,
right.
When it's all smooth and everything is copacetic, sometimes that's not the thing. And not that it's not the thing, but sometimes we are required to do a little something to upheaval, to raise a little eyebrows and to cause people to be more open-minded about things. And that's what next week, I'm going to have a Christian who owns a CBD and hemp company on, because I know that Christians have their thoughts about it because of everything about it, basically, right? But why do we have these thoughts? Why do we feel like there are things that we can't necessarily do or we shouldn't do when we don't really have a reason for it, as much as we feel like I don't do it because it's bad? Well, what's your, do you really have a conviction in your heart, or are you not doing it because of what other people think? Or have you researched it? Sometimes we just get these grand ideas and we live our lives by other people, and we haven't taken time to discover if it's truly our conviction or if it's somebody else's conviction.
Right.
Yeah. Or you just don't care at all. You're like, you know what? It's just not for me. But then don't speak against it like you talked to Jesus yesterday. Because a lot of people are like, okay, CBD, I'm not really interested in doing it, but I'm not necessarily against it either. It is what it is. If that's what you want to do on Saturday, do you I may go to Sexercise.
Absolutely.
To each his own,
Right. We all have things that we might do that are not necessarily wrong. It's just not for somebody else. And that's basically because we all have different tastes, right? Everybody's not the same, but we shouldn't judge each other because we have different likes and interests and opinions. I think if your Holy Ghost does not convict you, who am I to convict you, right? About certain things. Now, that's not on everything. There are some universal and fundamental truths, but there's a lot of things out there that's left and open to the decision of the person, to the decision of the Christian. So I think we just have to be a little more open-minded as it relates to how the pressure we put on one another, how we make each other feel about the things that we do, about how we use our voices. I just think we need to be a little more compassionate with one another and let people process things the way they process them. Let people express themselves the way that they feel like they need to express themselves.
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right, ladies, we're going to go to our second commercial break, and we'll be right back after this.
Get fit with Corey. Fitness made fun with real results. Join us. In-person classes are now available. For more information, www.patreon.com/getfitwithcorey. Sign up today.
If you are in the New Orleans area, please go check out Get Fit with Corey. He is my, I don't want to say former trainer. I just haven't been in a while, but he's my trainer. His classes are fun and exciting. So go check him out and make sure you take advantage of that free class. Okay, so as I said, alluded to when we were coming into our when we were coming to an end on our last conversation, is well, let me just come on out with it. Is it okay for a Christian to have an OnlyFans page if they are keeping it clean? And let me tell you, I will let y'all know where I got this from. I did see something on Kev on Stage. I said this last week. I owe a lot of my topics to him, but it was like the Dear Kev segment, and the lady was asking. Now, her husband was a deacon in the church. And she was like, if I keep it clean, I think she was just saying if she just show a little cleavage, no face, no nothing. It was probably a joke, but it really made me think about if it's clean, if it's all good, you know, is it okay? I read up about OnlyFans, and it just says it's basically, you know, a platform where you put up your content and people subscribe to your content and you get paid from your fans. So just because it's gotten kind of a bad name, is it? What do y'all think of?
But it's not just like body pictures, is that right?
No, it's not. It just kind of has gotten a bad name, but because of the stigma kind of connected to it, what do y'all think?
So what if? Oh God.
I just think everyone is different. I would be interested in what the content was. Like, you know, yeah, like I would say, of course, no to body pictures. Like, if you're asking to be paid for, I mean, if that's your thing, that's your thing. Like, when you get to Jesus, it's up to you.
Like, if it's your feet.
That's what I'm about to say. What if somebody wants to see my feet?
Your Facebook feed or your Instagram?
No, your feet.
Your feet. Oh, got it. Sorry, I'm an older millennial.
What if someone had a foot fetish and my OnlyFans page contains my feet?
And you're just showing your feet and people are paying you?
Yeah. Different toenail polishes, might have my feet on ice or
designs, tattoos, henna on your feet. You know, like, I don't know.
The question would be, is that now for the act in and of itself doesn't seem sinful. But the question would be, is it like gambling? Like, okay, necessarily, is it wrong to put $5 in a slot machine? Is that sinful? Or is it the addiction that could potentially come from it, the sin? So the question would be, and then is that the gambling company's fault or is that your fault? Like, there's a lot of ethical questions here. I think I would have more questions than answers. But like, is it wrong for you to take a picture of your feet and put it online? No. Is it wrong for someone to pay you for it? No. If that's what they want to do with their money, that's not sinful. But does it lead to that person indulging in something that is unhealthy for them or addicted to them? That's not really your responsibility, though. If I put a picture of my feet, it's not my responsibility if you have an unhealthy foot fetish, right? But there's a whole lot of ethical questions about, like, is God's purpose for my life to put my feet online? Well, God's purpose for my life wasn't to put popcorn in bags at the Omni Cinemas, but I did it, for money. So it's just like, like, there's a whole lot of questions. Like, I'm sure some people that were pastors used to work at McDonald's. Like, that's just, you gotta, it's the come up, it's the come up, so you have to really get specific and say, like, ethically, is there a violation? Every situation is going to be different, I think, in this situation.
Very good point. And I didn't even think about it like that.
Because you have to look at everyone like, okay, pictures of my hands, like, is that sinful? Well, no, but like, is there something around it that can get sinful? Maybe.
I think people have their views about it or their judgments about it because where it is now, And that's probably what it wasn't intended for, you know. So now it's probably becoming a little too sexual. So people are kind of, you know, questioning that.
Yeah, but I mean,
Because who's going to pay for pictures of hands?
I'm
But
sure
who's
that
going to pay for? But who's going to pay for pictures of other things and more money?
that's true. That's
The
true.
love
And
of money is the root of all evil. So if you
I,
know that if your rent's due tomorrow and all I got to do is post a couple of pictures, before you know it, you running a whorehouse. Like I mean, like, you just have to be careful what it could lead to, because people will do anything for money. People pimp out children for money. People do sell
yeah.
drugs for money. And so that love of money, if it's a quick dollar, oh, I just got to do this, but it's a gateway drug. It leads to this. It leads to this. Now somebody's calling you. They want you to go on a date for $1,000, and then it's not a yes or no.
Yeah, and I think what Jen said is the connection of it, what it has become, what it has evolved into, gives it this stigma. And one of our guests, Renata, she said it's the lust factor, right? But back to Pastor Monica's point, I guess it's tricky because I know if I put my feet on there, I'm doing it because somebody out there has a foot fetish. And I know I can say that I'm not responsible for what happens after that. But if I know that the reason why I'm getting paid is because somebody is aroused by this, or somebody is, going to another place with this, then, what do I do? But there are other occupations. While we're talking about it, we might as well, like, if you're a stripper, right? Now, I'm not saying that it's okay to be a stripper, but if you're let's use this analogy. If you start off with all your clothes on and you don't go any further than, your bra and your underwear, then some bathing suits, right, can be more revealing than your underclothes, right? And I'm not saying it's gonna be all, covered up. I'm just saying, if somebody is doing something because they feel like they don't have a choice, they need the money, how do I judge somebody who is truly doing what they have to do to make it? They're not letting anybody touch them. I mean, I know it's a lot involved in that, but how far do we go with, people doing what they have to do to get where they need to go? How far do we go with judgment with that?
And we have to ask ourselves that question, Alicia. We have to say, okay, who in the world goes up and wants to be a stripper? Who wants to do that? Nobody wants to be a stripper. No one says, when I grow up, I want to swing it up. Now, if they do, then I don't know everything. But I think my point is, like, MLK talked about, like, and I don't know it by heart, but you may have heard it from MLK. He said, is it wrong that you judge a man for stealing a piece of bread, or is society wrong for creating the situation where he has to steal a piece of bread in the first place? Like, whose fault is it that we have young girls stripping? Because when she was molested by her stepfather, where was the church? When she was, what it talks to some of these strippers, they're not like, oh, I walked away from my scholarship from Harvard because my parents really loved me. Yeah, no. That girl's not going to become a stripper. Now and it's not fair, because those are the people looking down on them. Oh, I went to this college and blah, blah, blah. Look at her. She's a stripper. Yeah, honey, but if she had your life, she could do the things you do. And we cannot be. That's why intelligence and empathy is so important if you call yourself a church girl. You can't, a lot of church girls were pretentious, were put on a pedestal. What a church girl really is to some people is this middle-class church girl, not this poor church girl who was raped on the way to Sunday school, or who was hurt, or who was from a foster care where no one really looked out for her. That's the girl that becomes the stripper. And you cannot be ignorant enough that you do not consider that maybe God is calling you to say, honey, what is it that you need to get off this pole? I got a room. My grandmama has a room, a safe place where you can be and you can get a part-time job. I was able to work at the Omni Cinemas. I wasn't forced to strip because I had somebody taking care of me. I could work at my part-time job at UNC Chapel Hill, but I had somebody. And if I didn't have that, what would I do? If somebody raped me and I got pregnant, what would I do? Anything for my kid. So we can't be that ignorant where we don't care about people.
But Monica, too, is what about those who make the decision to choose to go down that path and be a stripper?
But why would they make that decision if they had privilege? Where's the rich girl with the Porsche her daddy bought her stripping? Or is it mostly poor people who chooses that life? Now, I'm not saying like, yeah, if I know I can get on OnlyFans and show a couple of revealing pics to get money, yeah, it's quick money. Yeah, I should work hard. But the reality is like no one with privilege makes this decision. Case in point, there was an Indian man who says, look at you all. You let your poor fight for you. Who enlists in the military? People with a whole lot of options? My father enlisted in the military. I come to tell you, if there was a better option, if there was a full scholarship, if there was another choice than risking your life to die for people that are racist towards you anyway, because you're a black man, there would have been another option, but we didn't come from money. So I don't think that people with privilege strip. I think it is people who don't have the choice. So yeah, maybe they chose to do it, but they also, if they would have had a better situation, probably would have taken the better situation. Now there's always your outliers, but by and large, I don't think the girls at Harvard are signing up to strip. I think it's people who don't have those choices. And it's not fair.
I agree with you, Pastor Monica. See Jen's point as there are some people who choose the life for reasons other than it's no way out, right? Sometimes there are situations to where they maybe don't feel seen or they don't feel like they're, loved in a way that shows them or gives them what they need, right? They're searching for something other than the money and the prestige. They're searching. So I think what happens in these kind of situations is most people are searching. Most people are looking for something. And if this is the way that I get it, then this is the way I'm going to get it. Now, one of our viewers, Darius, he said, strippers are becoming stars today. That, the profession has changed. So, and I think when we look at things differently, now the things that people will do to be noticed, the things that people do just to get likes and attention, it goes far, right? And I saw this video just last night, and it really broke my heart because it didn't make sense. But it was a family who has a new baby and also has a toddler, and they have several videos of them pushing the toddler away, paying attention to the new baby, or pushing the toddler away. Like the parents were laying in the bed on their phones on their backs. And the little boy kind of went towards the mama and she turned her back on him. And then the little boy went towards the daddy and he turned his back on him. And then he just kind of laid there in the middle of them. And then they were walking past him and he grabbed their legs and they just pulled their legs up and they just kept going. And I'm like, okay, so this is TikTok. Give me one good reason. This little boy does not understand that even if you tell him we're playing, right? What kind of scars are you giving your child just for likes? Like I felt like somebody needs to take that baby from y'all, because why are you sitting here pretending to ignore your child for a phone, or even for your other child? Like, oh, you're not important anymore. We have a new baby. He walked up to the new baby and the mama pushed him away.
And what was the intent of this? Was this to bring
entertainment? It was on TikTok.
Wow. So it wasn't something that was created to show how some of us can be with our kids, how we ignore it. This was intentional.
Yes.
Wow.
And it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking to see that you would do this, because this child does not understand. Right? This child does not understand that this is a joke or we're playing. So I'm confused about the things that people will do. I put nothing past anybody with what they do for attention, for likes, not even money, right? Just to have fans or have people who are clamoring after them. I mean, I think the social media world has gotten us to a place that people are just being stupid, honestly. Can we be honest? People are just being stupid.
Yeah.
And not caring to be hurt, right? I just think it's ridiculous. I do. But I'm glad to. If anybody's on, you think about OnlyFans. Now you know how we feel about it, and nobody's judging you. Nobody's judging you. Do what you have to do. So we're going to take one more short commercial break, and then when we come back, I want the ladies to just share a word of encouragement or a word of advice that you would have for anybody that's watching, and then we'll be telling you all good night. Stay tuned.
All right.
So we're going to just put our whole little ending part like all together. And ladies, while after you give your word of encouragement to our audience, you can just go on and tell everybody where they can find you on social media, how they can connect with you. And I just want to thank you all again for being on tonight. I appreciate it. I know Jen is at the gym. Pastor Monica is at church. I mean, she's at work. So I just appreciate you all taking the time to be here, taking the time out of your schedules to be on Churchy Chats and to bring some very insightful views to the show. And I'm going to ask you both if you would come back. I need you back. I need you to come back so that we can chat it up again soon. But ladies, I just want to thank you. And we'll start with Pastor Monica.
Well, I just want to encourage everybody, know that the Lord loves you. It's hard out here and it can be a struggle. Know that God walks with us through the struggle. Know that God has not left us. So be encouraged. You can find me on Instagram, Monica E. Rains. Check out the church on Instagram, Christ Church in the City. We're on Facebook, Christ Church in the City, and YouTube, Christ Church in the City, live stream on Facebook Live, 10:15 every Sunday. Have a good night.
Wonderful. Thank you for the work that you are doing, Pastor Monica. I know it's not easy. I'm a youth pastor and I'm very much involved in church, and I know that it is not easy at all, but we appreciate your efforts and everything that you're doing for the kingdom. So thank you so much. We appreciate it. Jen, what you got to say to the people?
My word of encouragement and advice is to please, by all means, in this season, check on your people. And when I say check on your people, I mean those that are closest to you, those who you probably have not seen or heard from in a while, because we have so many people that are out here suffering in silence. So please, by all means, make sure you check on your people. Know that God is always with us. He's always with you. And please, by all means, continue to keep him first. You have to. It's a must. I guarantee you, you keep him first. Everything else is a breeze from there. So if you want to join me, you can join me at the gym on Tuesdays, where I teach a dance fitness class at 5:30, and that's at Earn That Body Fit Campus while I am in New Orleans. And again, my social media handle is __Genergy __.
Thank you so much, Jen. I appreciate you.
Very welcome.
I am coming. I promise. I know I've been saying that forever, but I am coming to a class. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate your work for Christ. And maybe you need to get that exercise thing back on, because I'm going to be married one of these good old days. And, I need to get my mind prepared. I need to get my mental prepared.
Amen.
Thank you, ladies. I appreciate you so much for being here, and everyone for watching. I appreciate it. I'm just going to take a moment because this past week on Saturday, Bishop J. Delano Ellis passed away, and Jessica, his daughter, is a dear friend of mine, and he has meant so much to me. People used to say that he and my dad looked alike, and so we would always joke, his daughters and I, like saying we're cousins and stuff like that. They were brothers and all of that stuff. And it's just been a little tough. And I just want to send light and love to the Ellis family. I know that this is an extremely difficult time for you right now, but know that many, many people in the kingdom, many people from all around the world are praying for you. We love you, and God will see you through. Everybody, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Churchy Chats with the Church Girl. I appreciate your love and support, and you will catch us right here next week, same place, same time, right here on Churchy Chats with the Church Girl. Good night.